Hey friends, I'm Jamie Maddox, your wealth embodiment mentor. I teach how you are uniquely designed to attract wealth. In this podcast, I talk about body mapping and money. Body mapping is a unique map on your body that gives information, instructions, and direction for you specifically. Each episode, I highlight one area of the body, discuss its features, and more importantly, what that means for you and your money. So welcome. I'm excited to be on this journey together and can't wait to see what your body can teach you about money. Hello, friends. I am so excited for another episode, and we are going to be talking about eyebrows today. Now, some of you might be thinking, wow, eyebrows, that's exciting. I know it doesn't really sound that exciting, but you just wait because this is going to be an amazing episode and you're going to learn a lot about yourself and other people. And also this, building off of last week's episode with your little party trick, this one is actually a really good one too, to add into it and to fine tune. Okay. All right. So when I first started learning about body mapping, it was during 2020, which was obviously COVID, right? So everyone was wearing, well, not everyone, but a lot of people were wearing face masks, right? And I think this is why eyebrows stood out to me as such a cool concept, is because I did learn it during that time when all we could really see were people's eyes and eyebrows, right? And even though half of people's faces were covered, there was actually so much information you could still glean from having a conversation with someone just by having their eyes and specifically their eyebrows available to see. Okay, so our eyebrows help us to discern, and they help us to show emotion and to articulate what is going on inside of us, okay? Because think about it. I want you all to do a little experiment with me, okay? So wherever you are, just kind of move your eyebrows around. And if you have the opportunity or you're near a mirror, look in a mirror while you do this, okay? But just watch your eyebrows for a second. Move your face around, just try to move your eyebrows, make some different faces. Think about when you're confused or you're deep thinking, just make some different faces and watch what your eyebrows do. Okay, so I can't really pause in a podcast, but pause the recording for just a second, go do this, and then come back, okay? Because now that you've taken a minute to look at how your eyebrows move, the emotions that you're portraying on your face, it's amazing what your eyebrows do, okay? So now that you've seen that, as always, I'm going to share an entertaining story about myself. Why not, right? Okay, so I'm a type of person that I don't really follow trends in fashion or makeup or hair or anything. And usually if and when I do get on board with a trend, it's towards the end of a trend and then the trend changes again. And I'm seriously, it took me how many years? Okay, for example, let's go with skinny jeans. I resisted skinny jeans for so many years, you guys. It's almost funny. And then I finally was okay, they're not leaving. I should just embrace it. I guess when I'm wearing boots, it is kind of nice, right? So then I got on board with the skinny jeans. And now what are we back to? We're back to that they're not quite as popular and they're not in, right? Which is really frustrating. So don't worry, I'm still going to wear my skinny jeans because apparently I like them now. Okay, but this also goes with makeup trends, okay? Because if you watch throughout time, when people are drawing on their eyebrows or accentuating their eyebrows, sometimes they are more thick or they are thinner. And it actually, if you look at it in relation to the generation and what is happening in the world and what type of world and society they grew up in, it makes sense. So let me break that down for you. People that have thicker eyebrows tend to think things through more. A lot of times it leads to overthinking, but they're less swayed by others' opinions, okay? People with thinner eyebrows tend to not really think about their decisions or not think about them as deeply or as much. So they'll tend to make decisions a little bit faster and easier. So right now, thicker eyebrows are in, right? At least I think so. I hope that's accurate. If I'm wrong, that's fine. I can be wrong. Okay, but a lot of people have thicker eyebrows right now. But look, think about this right now, because if people are wanting to have a little bit of a thicker eyebrow, they're saying, no, I have watched past generations or the past, 20 years where there's been a lot of hard things and a lot of consequences for decisions that maybe weren't thought through. And so this generation is like right now, people are like, no, I'm going to think things through. I'm going to really figure out what I want. And I'm going to, take a little bit of time to make a decision. Okay. So what this means is that you can actually affect your own decision-making process by your eyebrows. Isn't that like the coolest thing ever? You can adjust how you make decisions by your eyebrows. Because here's the thing. So for me, I've always preferred just a little bit of a thinner eyebrow. Again, it's one of the things that I have not jumped on board with. So my eyebrows have pretty much been the same for the last 38 years of my life. Because when I learned this, I thought, okay, do I want to get on board with the thicker eyebrows? And I was like, oh no, I overthink a lot of things. And I have a very, very active and intense mind. And I was like, no, I need something to remind me on my face that I can be a little bit spontaneous, that I can allow myself to just make a decision and trust myself. Okay. So for you, again, if you need to go look at your eyebrows again, go look at your eyebrows. Or if you did it before, just remember what they look like. Are you wanting to help yourself think through your decisions a little bit more? Or do you need to take a step back and trust yourself to just make a decision and kind of go with it a little bit more? And depending on which one it is, that is where you get to say, oh, you know what? Maybe I'm going to have a little bit of a thicker eyebrow right now. That might serve me well. Or it's like, oh, actually, I don't need any more time over analyzing decisions. I actually could use a little bit of a thinner eyebrow. Okay. Now, this is not to say anything against makeup trends or anything, but it is a very personal thing. And that's why I want you to check in with yourself, because regardless of what society is doing and what trends are going on, I want you specifically to decide what is going to work for you, because we can so easily change our eyebrows and there's so many different options and everything, especially for women. I just really want you to trust yourself. Like, what do you need on your face to remind you about your decisions? Okay, so that's just one aspect as far as the thickness and the thinness. Okay, so there's more aspects to eyebrows, my friends. Okay, so when you were looking at your face, how much movement did you have in your eyebrows? And do you have more of a rounded eyebrow or more of a peaked eyebrow? Okay. Now, with that being said, you can have one eyebrow that is peaked and one that is rounded, or one that is more straight versus one that is more peaked. Okay, so obviously either side can be its own thing, doing its own thing. But let me tell you what that information is. Okay, the more rounded, so if your eyebrow kind of does a little bit more of a round curve at the top, which PS, mine are pretty straight, and I actually didn't even know or notice people's rounded and peaked eyebrows until I learned body mapping. And then I started really looking at people and I was like, oh my gosh, most people in the world have rounded or peaked eyebrows. It's more me I don't know the real statistics on this, but I'm probably a little bit more the odd one out that has a little bit more of a flatter eyebrow. Okay. So if you've never noticed yours or others, it's okay. You have friends. Okay. But now start paying attention, because the more rounded the eyebrow, they tend to go more with the flow. Their thoughts are rounded. They're easier to believe. Okay. Peaked eyebrows, so they have a little bit more of a peak or an arch in them. They tend to be more opinionated. They need a little bit of evidence to believe things, and usually they're a lot more factual in their thoughts and in their statements. And a lot of times that can come out as being very opinionated. So let's say your right eyebrow is round and your left is peaked. What does that mean? Okay, so again, we're going to come back to our right side is the future and our masculine, and the left side is the past and our feminine. Okay, so if the right one is rounded, that means you're maybe a little bit more go with the flow and whatnot in regards to like your future or things pertaining to masculine energy. So more like the drive and the direction and the competition. Okay. If your left one is peaked in our example, that would indicate that you have a little bit more of opinions, or you need a little bit more evidence about information in your past or in regards to the feminine. Okay. So there's a lot of different layers to this. And that's why I said just spend some time first looking at your face, because what is your face? What are your eyebrows telling you, right? This was really interesting because as I started learning about this, I mean, obviously I've always had my eyebrows. And so, but I finally started noticing that on my left side, and now whenever you meet me or look at my pictures, you're going to notice this if you haven't already. So on my left eyebrow, the hairs that are closest to my nose, okay, so the inner side of my eyebrow, they go straight up and then the hair flows over, okay? And it does not matter what I do, that I just can't get those hairs to flow with the rest of the eyebrow. They just do their own thing and they stick straight up, okay? And it's never bugged me, but I was like, oh, what does that mean? Like, why do I have this small little section of hair that just does not want to go with the rest of my eyebrows? So if you are someone that also has that, because there are actually quite a few people with this, what that indicates is that it's a reminder, because if we go back to our hair episode a few weeks ago, that the hair that sticks straight up it's like that antenna reminding us to connect with our higher power, connect with our higher self, and to really tune in to that intuition and that connection with God or your higher power to get the information. So for me, it's on my left side. So again, whether it's about my past or about things of the feminine, it's just my little reminder of being like, hey, just check in. Just check in before you make final decisions, before you fully discern the information, and then things will kind of flow for you, okay? Isn't that kind of cool, right? Okay, so how does all of this tie in to money, right? And to our wealth? Well, like I said at the beginning, if you're someone that tends to already overthink your decisions, especially in regards to money or making changes or relationships or any types of things, that's where it might be wise to have a little bit of that thinner eyebrow to remind yourself that it's okay to trust yourself, to just make decisions, that regardless of the outcome of the decision, you can trust yourself to deal with whatever happens with it. Because here's the thing, just because something doesn't turn out how we thought it would, doesn't mean it was a wrong decision. Okay. Just because something does not turn out how we thought it would, doesn't mean it was a wrong decision. And what we're really meant to learn is that we can trust ourselves to deal with whatever the outcome is. Because each of you are very strong, very capable, very wise, and you can handle whatever is happening in your life and whatever happens in regards to your decisions, okay? Sometimes we tend to learn that the harder way, but you know what? It's okay, because we're each going to learn our lessons, and we can find the ability to prosper through whatever the decision is. Okay. So again, going back to that thinner eyebrow, maybe if you're like, actually, I've learned a lot of really hard lessons because I have not thought things through, then I invite you, maybe jump on the thicker eyebrow route right now and just test it out, play with it. See if having that visual reminder to think your decisions through a little bit more will help you to have less consequences or outcomes that you don't quite enjoy, right? Isn't this like the coolest thing ever? So start looking at your eyebrows. Start paying attention to how they influence what is happening for you on the inside. Take your time to decide what is right for you, because regardless of whether it's about your eyebrows, okay, or your relationship with money, with people, with yourself, any of those things, what it really comes down to is I want you to trust yourself. I want you to truly know yourself well enough that you can make the decisions that are right for you, regardless of what anyone else is doing, because that is where ultimate freedom comes from. And that's where you actually feel like you have the ultimate choice, is when you know yourself and you know why you're making your decisions, and you can trust yourself to deal with whatever that looks like on the other side, because nothing is concrete. We are all living in the present moment, right? And the future is unknown. The past is what it is. And we have this beautiful opportunity to be present and to really learn to trust ourselves and to connect with ourselves. Okay, I hope that was helpful. And I hope that you find greater insight and wisdom for yourself by just looking at your eyebrows. If you do, I would love to hear about it. I always enjoy hearing from you, hearing how these episodes are affecting your life, changing your life, making a difference. And with this holiday season, there won't be an episode released next week because it's the day after Christmas. So please enjoy your holiday. And if you are struggling to enjoy your holidays, well, first off, feel free to reach out. I've had many holidays that I have not enjoyed, and thankfully I am enjoying my holidays again. But reach out, whether it's to me or to someone else, but just know that you're allowed to make the choices that are right for you and to enjoy those choices and enjoy whatever comes from them. So I wish you the happiest and merriest of Christmases, and I will talk to you next year at the beginning of 2025. Thanks for listening. Make sure to check back each week for the newest content about your body and your wealth. If you've enjoyed this episode, please share with your friends and give it a 5-star review. Make sure to visit healinghopewithjamie.com for new offers, retreats, and ways to embody your wealthy life.